Hi, welcome to today's program. I'm Marissa Milano, and this is Jim Carey, Athletic Director of Plymouth Regional High School. Today we're going to be doing a wrap-up of the fall sports, and we're going to take a preview of the winter sports coming up for their next season. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Starting off, girls soccer this season had 4 wins, 9 losses, and 2 ties in their regular season. It's a pretty good season for them. I saw a few of their games. They played pretty well, but tough competition.
It was, Division II, or what we used to know as Class I, is pretty tough, especially in the girls soccer end of it. I think when we met last time, you and I spoke, and all the teams were kind of seeing where they were going to finish up, and girls soccer ended up doing enough towards the end of the season to get that last spot for a playoff spot, which is never easy going against number 1 team. They went down to Bow. They actually played a very good first half and battled pretty hard. Coach Reed did a nice job this year. The girls, I think, had a good feel of where the season was going, and it was nice to see them get rewarded with a playoff spot at the end of the season. I think that's always a good benchmark, is making the tournament. And so the girls should be proud, and coach should be proud, and that's 5 out of the last 6 years that the girls soccer program has been in the tournament. So that's a good milestone.
Yeah, they definitely had a good season. All teams made playoffs so far, right?
Yeah, we took it. Yeah, this fall it was. I can't remember. I'm sure it's happened before, but this was, I think, the first time in a few years that every team made the NHIAA tournament. So that was a good fall season for us.
That's great. That's a good thing to have, especially as an athletic director. Next is field hockey. They had 7 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. Yeah,
the last time we spoke, I think they were 5-4-1, and kind of on the cusp as well on whether they were going to get in or not. And they too had a great opening round victory against Sanborn Regional High School, and then went on to played a great game down at Windham. And almost knocked off a very good Windham team. But it was a great game and a good season for field hockey as well, and Coach Laufenberg and the girls.
And another great season for volleyball. They had 11 wins this season and just 5 losses. I also saw a few of their games, and they were playing pretty well too.
Yep, Coach Boyle's a wonderful coach. Girls kind of, they had a good season, stayed together. We were able to host a game. I believe it was Co Brown that we defeated in the first round, and then went down to a very good Milford team. But again, being able to host a game is always, never mind making the tournament. You'd like to host a game, win that game, and then again, kind of overmatched a bit with a good Milford team. But they have a nice, solid nucleus coming back for next year as well. And
going on the boys' side, boys soccer had, again, another good record, 9-6.
Yeah, they too. They were 6-5 when we last spoke and finished real strong. Coach Elderkin did a wonderful job with the kids this year, both individually and collectively. I saw a lot of growth from that team, and they went on the road for the first round. They were the number 9 seed, played Conval, who was the 8th seed, and had a good victory on the road. And they too went to Windham and played a fantastic game. They were 0-0 in the first half, gave up a quick goal and eventually lost 1-0, but hit the crossbar late, and performed very well this season. So hopefully they can continue to see that growth as well with Coach Elderkin and Coach Casarino and the staff.
And then undefeated football team, they went 8-0 in regular season, champions.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was a good, solid season. Obviously, following up, I think we had mentioned it's not always easy. You just to repeat. You take a few pieces out of the locker room. You take a couple personalities, and it really can be difficult. And then the pressures to repeat are also difficult. And I thought Coach Sanborn and the staff, and especially the kids, did a great job this season and had a nice run through the playoffs. They opened up with Sauhegan in a kind of a pretty solid victory, and a great semifinal game against St. Thomas, who we struggled with. We were only up 7-0, struggling to move the ball, and kind of just wore them down. And then in the championship down at UNH beat Bow once again. So That was great, and I know we're going to open with Blow next year, the first game of the season, so that should be exciting.
Wow, that's awesome. Especially winning 2 years in a row against Bow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and again, now we'll open the season. I don't know if that's the schedule that Coach was hoping for, but I think it'll be at home, so it'll be a fun one to kind of get an early test to see where we're at. So yeah, it was a good run.
Good. Then next is the cross country team.
Yep, cross country, and I had mentioned we had a young lady here from the college, Coach Aisha Budo and Coach Andy Havey handled the coaching duties together, and kids had a solid year. I went down to Derry Field and watched the Division II championships, and kids ran well, and again had a great experience and felt a lot of individual progression, but I know Coach really had a nice team approach in what can be viewed as an individual sport in cross country, but I think the kids had a great experience and really enjoyed both coaches. So hopefully we'll get them back again next year.
And then lastly for the fall sports is the spirit team. Yep.
Coach Morrison, obviously I had mentioned last time just the amount of energy that those kids bring to our overall athletic program and school culture. And so then they have their own championships that are held down at Pinkerton. And they had a good showing. I think they were the second team up, and I believe they finished in 6th place this year. So I think I know Coach Danae Morrison was very, very happy with how the season ended for that crew of kids.
Nice. Overall, a very successful season for all this fall teams. Now looking forward into the winter teams, a quick preview. Boys basketball, how do you think they're going to do this year?
They have a lot of. They had a rough season last year. It was just hard to get it rolling. They, as you had mentioned with the girls soccer, Division II is tough, and in boys basketball, it's always been tough. Again, they open up with a couple difficult matchups early, both on the road. One at Windham and one at Kearsarge, who was the defending champ in Division III and bumped up. But I think they're going to have a solid season. I think it can be much like some of the examples we had in the fall. If they just stay the course, stay together, bring a good work ethic, I think they're going to have some success this year because they have a decent amount of seniors. But everybody's going to buy in, so hopefully that's going to happen.
Yeah, what are you thinking, what are you expecting really for girls basketball on the other side?
Girls basketball, we have Coach Kristen Bruley, used to be Kristen Krotz, recently married, so they're doing well. I think they have a good mix of younger kids and some veterans. We'll see how she plays that out, what the rotation will be. The nice thing in New Hampshire basketball is you have 6 quarters a night, so if you are a younger player, you can play 4 quarters of JV and come up and play 2. And then if you improve over the course of the season, maybe you're 3 quarters in JV and 3 in varsity. And we've used that because I used to coach basketball, and we did that on the boys' side when it just used to be 5 quarters a night. So now that we have 6, I'm hoping that will help in the development of some of our younger players because, minutes are most important. And so that freshman or sophomore that you might feel like they have to get some varsity minutes, you really need to make sure they're getting the most minutes in an evening, and then also with the kids maybe that they're going to be playing with 3 or 4 years down the road. So that's worked for myself when we were coaching. I know Coach Krotz is planning on doing that with some of those kids. So.
Okay. And then staying on the basketball topic, the unified basketball team.
Yep.
How are they looking?
Good unified basketball. We always have large numbers, a good core of athletes and good core of what we call partners. It's a great athletic event. People really enjoy the camaraderie that goes on between not only teammates but the opponents, and so that'll be a fun one. Our first home game will be January 5th, and I believe it's at 3:30 p.m. So people can come out and watch that. That's great. Unified basketball is a very unique sport and one that's fun to come out to watch.
Awesome. Now going on to hockey, combined team with Kearsarge.
Yep, it's a co-op. A lot of schools in certain sports, football, hockey, you'll see more probably co-ops in those sports. This is our third year now of co-op hockey with Kearsarge, and prior to that, we had it as a club sport. So it's been, it's been evolving and has been around in this community for a long time. even prior to us having a club team. There was White Mountain Avalanche, and had some nice talent in this community. So it's nice now that these kids get the opportunity to play at a high school level. We'll see how long the co-op lasts. We'd like to, at some point, get out there on our own, but when we started it, Kearsarge had low numbers. We had, some thin numbers at a varsity level, and it was a good combination. So we're in our third year of that, and see how that goes this season.
Great. The gymnastics team.
That's another one that's fairly new. The last couple of years, we enter as independents. We have 3 girls doing gymnastics, so it's new to us that we kind of are taking it on as a sport, as a school. January 16th, we're going to have a home meet. Kerry Kiley out at Top Gun Gymnastics, we're going to be hosting a meet again January 16th. So that's kind of new to some of us in this area. So on that night, on the 16th, it'd be fun for people to go over to the Top Gun Gymnastics, and that's where we'll hold the event and kind of get a taste of high school gymnastics.
Awesome. And you must be expecting great things from the skiing teams.
Yeah, that's another one that we've had a good tradition, a culture in this community of all 3 of them. The Alpine with Dan LeBlanc as our coach, and his father Norm was involved for many years. So we've had the LeBlanc family that have created a nice atmosphere around Alpine, both boys and girls. We have Andy Havey's our Nordic coach, and he's grown the numbers quite a bit. So we have the Nordic team should be very strong this year, and then the ski jumping program, which is pretty unique. It's not unique to this community, but unique to a lot of people around the state. I think fluctuates, but 6 or 7 teams that ski jump, and we had our community kind of rally a couple years ago and build a new ski jump, and that kind of, our numbers spiked a bit that first couple years, but yeah, I think ski jumping is always one. It's January 24th is a ski jumping meet that we host at our high school, so that too is a pretty neat experience that people don't get to see too much. So if you're around, you should come out and throw on a hat, some gloves, and come support that. It's pretty wild.
Definitely. I've never actually been to one of those meets, so definitely.
You should try it.
Like a cool
It's
thing to go to.
very neat. It's a neat experience for people.
Great. And then lastly is the wrestling team.
Yeah.
They have had a meet already, right?
Yeah, last night it's a good start. They played they wrestled against John Stark. It was a great first meet. We won it pretty handily, but had to battle through. The John Stark kids, who have some younger wrestlers, really put up a good fight, and so for our individual kids in matches, they were tested, and so I think there was only a couple forfeits, so that's always nice when we get most of the kids out there. And then we actually had a couple exhibition matches, so got about 16 kids on the mat and wrestling, and Coach Austin and Randy Cleary, the head coach, they do a great job with that program as well. So we do have one more wrestling meet, I think, before Christmas, and that's on the 13th against White Mountain Regional High School, and that should be a pretty good one as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then lastly, before we end up, division changes. Is that going to affect Plymouth at all?
It's not really going to affect us too much. We lose a few of the opponents that were on the top level. The NHI readjusts the numbers every couple of years. We usually do a 2-year cycle of schedules, so they relook at those numbers every year, and they allow teams to petition up and petition down, but it won't affect us too much. We're probably on a little bit of the lower end of our division numbers-wise. We're about 677 students, and the top is around 1,200 some years. It drops a bit. So this year, Windham and Goffstown and Portsmouth are all going to be moving up to Division 1. So those are 3 teams that were, pretty successful at the top of our division. Kind of, in some of the playoffs that we mentioned, we were down at Windham a lot, or in baseball, Goffstown and Portsmouth have been pretty strong in their sports. So they now are up. In football, Alvern came down to our division, but we won't play them in the regular season. But a couple minor changes like that, but we're kind of set right where we're at.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for us here today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.